Hi, it's Ray Mills. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the VBA select case statement. So, best way to learn is through example. Here I've created an integer, I, variable, I, and I set it to 9. So let's run this and see what happens. So, select case statement evaluates what you put here. In this case, what we're evaluating is I. So we know I equals to 9. So if we step down, does it equal from 1 to 5? No. Does it equal 6, 7, or 8? No. But does it equal 9? Yes. So equal to 9 or 10. And then you'll see that it just popped that up. In fact, I'll show you it again just so you see it again. You have to trust me on this. So in case this, that's a lovely thing about VBA is that you can just drag it back up and rerun your code. And there we go. So you see it's equal to 9 or 10. Awesome. Now, I'm going to change it to 1. Well, let's make it 2. And first let's stop this thing and go back and run it again. Boom. Now you know in this case it equals 2, so it should be from 1 to 5. But what we're really showing you here is that you could set it as a range, or you could separate the items individually and put commas. So it just gives you choices, but it's less typing. Now, most people will ask, why wouldn't I use an if? Well, that's a good answer. If it were not necessarily sequential numbers like 24, 16, 18, a whole list of oddball numbers, well, you can just list them here. So in an if statement, you'd have to go equals this or this or this. So this will make the amount of coding, typing, less. It's more efficient in some cases. So I'm going to show you a little different example right now. Okay, I'm going to pop this up. And here we have Anthony's Plumbing Appointment Master. So this is the screen that pops up when the dispatcher takes a phone call from a customer calling about, in this case, a leaking water heater. So, and she goes through to fill it out. And what we did was, we know that often the customer will call. He's got a great reputation, Anthony. So customers will call, but they're out of his really zone that he works on, right? He only works in about 3 or 4 towns, and then once you start getting further, it's more travel time, expensive, etc. So I happen to know that he works in 19060 zip code, and that's zone 1, which is green, which means, yeah, that's my normal service area. So she's fine with that. Now, if I said 19089, oh, that's outside of his normal service area, and we indicate that as so, right? So I'm going to show you how we did all that, and let's go over here, and I'll show you. First, we started with the same thing, a custom function, but it uses the select case statement. So when the customer provides their zip code, the dispatcher types in the zip code, right? Anybody who's in the normal zip code gets a $65 normal service fee, but it jumps up to $90 if you're in travel zone 2. And finally, if you're outside of these known zip codes which surround where he has his plumbing supply store and service shop, if you're outside of any of these, then you're in zone 3 and he will not service you. And it just makes sense because he's not going to drive an hour to get out to you. Okay, so what it does is it evaluates the zip code and sets the I zone equal to the number 1, 2, or 3, as you see here. Okay, so select case. So we send it the zip code, and we evaluate the zip code like we evaluated I in our last case. So if it's 19060, as I demonstrated, it's zone 1. There's a couple that are in zone 2, and finally the 19089 or whatever I put in was a zone it did not recognize, therefore it's out of his service area. Now, how did I get that to update, which is kind of interesting. So if I go to Job Master and I say, okay, we took an event, change event on the field, Job Master, on the label zone. So it was pretty simple. So when the dispatcher enters into the zip field, right? See, text zip, the text box, when they enter that text box, a change event is fired. Text zip, when the dispatcher enters the zip code of die zone, a change event is fired. And then it goes out, and the first thing it does is says, make sure it's got the full 5-digit in there, 5 digits in the zip code box. Then it says it fires our custom function that goes out and sends that and sends back what zone it's in. It then says, okay, very simply, choose the color that you want to set the zone. Zone 1, zone 2 is, you'll change the label to caption to zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Then you'll color them appropriately. And if it's in zone 3, we had a little fancy thing there, just this little bit with combined the sleep command to have it flash red on and off, so that the dispatcher is alerted to the fact that, hey, this person's outside of where we normally go, and you probably can't help them out in this case, and possibly refer them to someone else. So I'll just show you one more time how it works. Here it is over here. It popped up off screen. Apologies. And if we put in 19060, it's zoned. It's fine. If we put in 1989, oh look, it's not the right zone, and the dispatcher is alerted. So that's it. Pretty easy to do. If you like more tips on VBA, visit my website, excelandvbacraftsman.com, and I have lots of tips there and a master class on how to improve your coding. So thanks so much.